Good morning, everybody. Welcome back through Installment of Scott Selections here for Saturday, October 29th. For again today's play of the day, quick recap what happened yesterday. We had a loss in the NBA with the Raptors money line at minus 115 on DraftKings. Unfortunately, the breakdown focused mainly on how Philadelphia's transition defense was awful with Harden and Embiid on the court. We thought Embiid was a little bit out of shape so far this season, and apparently is actually battling a bit of an injury because he did not play, and that was a late news bulletin there as he ended up getting scratched about 30 minutes before the game. The money line went from minus 115 to minus 175, and yet the Raptors never led in the game. Maxey scored 44 points, did not miss a shot in the entire first half. I believe he went 10 for 10 in the first half. And Van Vliet played one of the worst games I've ever seen anybody play. I believe he went 0 for 11 from the floor with 1 point in 31 minutes. He was terrible, but Toronto, we thought would match up well against a healthy 76ers team. Unfortunately for us, with Embiid off the floor because of injury, they played a lot faster, they played a lot looser, and they played well, and Toronto ended up losing. So far, the NBA season has really been kind of cruel to us, and we've beaten a bunch of line moves throughout the NBA, yet really none of them have worked out. I'm not really sure why, but either way, still early in the season, not going to panic, but it's definitely unfortunate when you beat some line moves and yet it doesn't seem to matter in the end. Either way, going to try to snap out of the current funk that we're in and transition over to hockey, looking at a late night matchup between the Oilers and the Flames in the battle for Alberta. And we're going to be looking at the total in this one. Going to take the over 6.5 goals at minus 125 on Bet Online. Time recording of 2:30 a.m. Eastern Time. Couple reasons why I like the over in this spot. First reason, to go through the offensive numbers this season. Both teams are incredible. The Oilers are averaging 3.88 goals per game, which ranks tied for second most in the league. Meanwhile, the Flames not that far behind, averaging 3.67 goals per game, which ranks sixth in the league. So both offenses definitely elite, and both of them are really good on the power play. Edmonton has a 34.48% success rate on the power play, which ranks second in the league. Makes sense. You have McDavid, you have Draisaitl, you're going to automatically dominate on the power play every time. And Calgary is also not far behind, has a success rate of 30.43% on the power play, which ranks fourth. So you have two really good power plays and two really good offenses. And usually when these teams go head to head, you see a lot of shenanigans and a lot of goals because 6 of the last 7 meetings have had at least 7 goals. And of course, there are several ways to get to 7 into this matchup. Either one team could go nuts, maybe score 5, you have a 5-2 game, or since it is an even number with a hook attached to it, you could get the overtime draw at 3-3. I'm going to focus on that number right there, the 3, because of the fact that each team has been very good at getting to 3 in the last couple of meetings. Edmonton has scored at least 3 goals in 10 of the last 11 meetings, and Calgary has scored at least 3 goals in 8 of the last 9 meetings. So I do think there's a very good chance that each team gets to 3 goals in this game, and if that's the case, you automatically win. So I do think there's definitely a good shot here of either an overtime draw or just both teams going nuts instead of relying on one team to do most of the heavy lifting. Now, the first meeting was also pretty crazy. You had 7 goals in the game, despite having 0 goals in the third period. I believe there were 5 goals in the first period, and the game went over after the second period. But still, the point is, if you actually watch the game, a lot of scoring chances throughout. Defense was basically optional. Skinner ended up being called in as the goalie because he ended up pulling Campbell after the first period, and he was very good. Did not allow a single goal in the game. But the point is, I do think based on the overall pace of play, the offensive firepower, and really how awful these defenses are against each other, historically speaking, 6.5 is a little bit too low for a total, and this number probably should be a flat 7. It is a flat 7 at several books, but Bet Online still has 6.5, and I will take advantage of it. But to go through the projected goalies here, you have Markstrom, who should be the goalie in net because so far this season, he's been really good. The problem is, historically speaking, he's been awful against Edmonton. It seems like Edmonton's his kryptonite because he has allowed at least 4 goals in 8 of his last 9 games against the Oilers. For whatever reason, Edmonton just really gives him fits, and I think that should be the case once again in this matchup. For Edmonton, it's tricky to tell who's going to be the goalie. Campbell has most of the starts. He's been pretty underwhelming this season. But to go through his numbers, he has allowed at least 3 goals in 5 of his first 6 starts. So both goalies are vulnerable. Now, Skinner could potentially start instead of Campbell. It wouldn't totally surprise me. And he was very good in the first meeting. But I do think based on the firepower that both teams have, we know Calgary ended up trading away Kachuk. Wasn't that big of a deal because they picked up Huberdeau and a couple of other quality pieces. And Huberdeau's been really good this season. 5 points. He has 4 points on the power play. Kadri's been a very good signing. He leads the team with 9 points. I just think Calgary has a lot of weapons and depth. We know Edmonton has a lot of firepower up top with Draisaitl and McDavid, and I'm not sure how much the goalies are going to matter in this matchup based on the overall chances each team should get. But if Campbell and Markstrom are in net, I do expect a lot of fireworks. If Markstrom's in net, which he should, Edmonton, if history repeats itself, should probably score at least 4 goals, which sets up the game for a very nice pace for the over. Not to mention some empty net draws at the end if it's going to be somewhere along the lines of 4-2, something like that, and you have to pull the goalie. But at the end of the day, you're looking at a total of 6.5, where 6 of the last 7 meetings have gone over, and each offense is elite. The goalies have question marks, and I do think you'll end up seeing another very, very eventful game between two arch rivals, and you'll probably see this game finish somewhere around 7 or 8 goals, maybe more. We saw a couple of playoff games there end up in the double digits. The play that I, once again, here for Saturday, October 29th, is going to be on the Oilers and Flames over 6.5 goals at -125 on Bet Online. Bye, everyone.